Last time, we ended the Z section of the story, now heading into Super. A lot of things have changed already, but especially with Beerus looking for a certain new person as a rival, how is that going to change things? We'll be seeing all that and more in this part 3 of What If Mr. Satan Was Actually Strong. Beerus arrives to Earth, much earlier than normal, not long after the Buu Saga actually. So instead of that couple-year time skip, he's on Earth not even a year after the Buu Saga. And he's only got one thing on his mind. He's looking for the world champion, the strongest mortal in the universe, the person who will be his godly rival, Mr. Satan. This leads to him arriving at Mr. Satan's house amidst a press conference. And immediately Mr. Satan is pretty terrified, especially because all of the cameras are on. But he should have this in the bag. Another alien showing up to fight him, claiming to be some sort of god? That's no big deal. Beerus also notices a bunch of good food at this press conference too. You'll have to check that out later. It looks almost like a party of sorts. It's at Mr. Satan's mansion no less, so they're not skimping on any of the expenses for food. And Mr. Satan asks Beerus if they could talk for a bit. So they both launch up into the sky. Mr. Satan has no clue of what's going on. But Beerus says he's dead serious about everything. It makes sense that a mortal like him wouldn't know, but he is the god of destruction of this universe. And he explains a little bit more about why he's here and why Mr. Satan specifically. Now, of course, Mr. Satan is clueless as to who Beerus is. But this isn't the weirdest thing that's happened on Earth, so maybe he is telling the truth. And unfortunately for him, none of his pals are there to actually confirm this. Specifically, Vegeta, who actually would know who Beerus is. The cameras can't hear a thing that Mr. Satan is saying, but they're all focused on him talking with Beerus. Worldwide, everyone is watching. And eventually Vegeta does get word of this, realizing that the person he's fighting is Beerus. He's terrified, not only because Beerus is on this planet, but the person he's meeting is Mr. Satan of all people. Earth is probably doomed now. Vegeta quickly flies over there, and then Goku also does too. He has no clue who Beerus is, but he wants to watch the fight as well. Surprisingly enough, they see that Gohan and Videl are already there. It is Mr. Satan's house after all. Honestly, Gohan wasn't too sure if it was a big deal. Same for Videl. They couldn't feel Beerus' power. And Mr. Satan is powerful. Yeah, this guy could fly and he seems intimidating, but is his power really on par with Mr. Satan? And no, it isn't. It's actually way above him. Far more than they could ever imagine. Vegeta's just panicking right now. Watches as Beerus absolutely demolishes Mr. Satan. He is doing a good job, and surprisingly, he's not dead instantly. And as far as Vegeta can tell right now, Mr. Satan is the strongest of them at the moment. So if that's how he's doing against Beerus, they can pretty much imagine how they do against him. They can't hear anything going on with the fight, and Vegeta tells them not to interrupt. So they just watch as Mr. Satan gets beat up, and then suddenly, the tides turn really quickly. It looks like he says something to Beerus, and then Beerus says something back. Really, what's happening here is an exchange. Mr. Satan tells Beerus he can't win here. He actually concedes defeat, as much as it pains him to do so. His head is a lot bigger here because he's actually as strong as he claims he is, so this is a pretty big blow for him. But he makes a deal with Beerus. He was interested in all that food down there, right? Well, he can get him as much as he wants. He can get him personal chefs and everything. He has more than enough money to spend on that. And Beerus actually does like the idea of it. All that Mr. Satan asks is that Beerus pretends to lose on camera. Which kind of angers Beerus, but the prospect of food does interest him. Okay, well, he has one more offer. By mortal standards at least, Mr. Satan clearly is really powerful. So how about this? Alongside the food, Mr. Satan's gonna have to come along with them. That blue guy over there, Whis, he'll train under him for a bit. Beerus wants to see his true strength and his full potential. So basically out of fear and preserving his image as the world champ, Mr. Satan accepts this. He's gonna go to Beerus' planet and train under Whis. Also, he's gonna bring a bunch of good food there. Mr. Satan then launches in to punch Beerus. At first, Beerus doesn't react at all, but then his ki flares up dramatically, and he screams like he's in pain. And he's a really good actor at it too. He's rocketed across the sky, out into space. Mr. Satan is just kind of perplexed by this, and then he looks down at the cameras with a pretty shocked face. But quickly his face turned into one of determination. He proclaims victory and gives a thumbs up to the cameras below, with everyone cheering. And Vegeta's just wondering what the hell went on that Beerus just lost like that. He didn't actually lose. It looks like he threw the fight. Mr. Satan lands back down on the ground, and he gives them a quick rundown of what happened. He specifically apologizes to Videl too because her dad's gonna be gone for a bit, maybe for a while. Well, Vegeta says it's probably for the better because knowing Beerus, he probably would have destroyed everything if Mr. Satan didn't impress him, which just terrifies Mr. Satan even more because Vegeta tells him how he knows Beerus. Whis then walks over to them, and they're all quickly moved to another part of Earth where Beerus currently is. Once again, Vegeta's terrified, and Beerus tells him not to worry. He's found his rival, and he has what he wants. They watch as Mr. Satan leaves. And now it leaves Goku and Vegeta kind of wondering. They want to impress Beerus somehow too. Imagine that, training under a god of destruction. Well, as far as Vegeta could tell, it looked like he was training under Whis, which might be even better for all he knows. But he says don't take it so lightly. He doesn't realize who Beerus is. But Goku doesn't mind. He wants to go train there. He wants to grow as strong as possible. It seems like a great opportunity, and he's bummed out that he's not going along. So then he turns to ask Gohan if Vegeta's not going to join him. Does Gohan want to train with him? Well, Gohan already trains with him pretty consistently, and he has Videl. But he can't train throughout the day though like Goku can because he's actually busy. Remember, this isn't that long after the Buu Saga, so Gohan is still in school right now. And hearing all this, Vegeta has no choice but to butt in. He'll train with Kakarot. He's not going to let him become the strongest Saiyan after all. And he actually has a perfect idea of how to do this. They get back to Capsule Corp and basically, he has Bulma helping him. Android 16 is there now working security. And Bulma's actually modified him a bunch. He's far stronger than before. And not evil. Goku honestly completely forgot about him. Especially because he wasn't at the tournament, but then Vegeta calls him an idiot for that. He's a robot. He can't join the tournament. Oh yeah, that's true. He's just fully mechanical unlike the other two androids. 16's going to help them train. Especially because with a few modifications, Bulma can make him stronger than them. After all, if Jiro was able to do it in a cave with some scraps of metal, Bulma's going to be able to do it with a much better lab and better resources. They train for a couple months and don't really get anywhere. Like, they grow pretty significantly, but not as much as they'd hoped. And Vegeta starts trying to think outside the box. He wonders, maybe their tails are the key. Well, Goku obviously doesn't have his, he lost his a while back. And thanks to all of them, Vegeta's also lost his tail. Goku reminds Vegeta that was his fault though. Which, yeah, that's true. But still, he theorized that maybe it could give them more strength. It used to give them more strength by letting them transform into Grade 8. Not that that form really matters to them anymore, but still. They could use the Dragon Balls to wish for their tails back, but that seems like kind of a big wish for something so small. Bulma overhears this and actually has an idea of her own. Just give her a bit of time. She grabs a sample from each of the stumps where their tails were. Gross, but necessary. And after doing some tests, a few days later she figures out the exact reason that they were able to transform. Well, Vegeta already knew all this and gave her all the info, but she actually figured out a way to reverse engineer it, which is a pretty huge feat. She just has to work on a machine for it now, and maybe they can induce the transformation into a Grade 8. Vegeta's not really sure if that'll take him anywhere, but sure, they'll go for that. Just because the Grade 8 form is so weak in comparison to what they have now. Bulma is eventually able to make a Blood Slave machine. They transform into Grade 8s, and Vegeta of course still has control over it, but Goku never did get control over this. Although strangely enough, he gets control pretty quickly. Weird, he's never really been conscious in this form. Vegeta guesses that with how much Goku's trained by now, he just inadvertently unlocked this. Now he can control Grade 8 as is. But they gotta go even beyond this, and Vegeta might have a few ideas of how to do so. A few months pass, and by now it's been about a year since Beerus first came to Earth. He does make stops sometimes to get some more food, but not really too long. This is really because Mr. Satan wanted to come back. At least for a little bit. He has grown a lot stronger too. Beerus can tell that he has access to Godly Ki by now as well. So everything's going pretty good. But he does need a break and he does want to go home, especially because Earth will be wondering where he is, and most importantly, he wants to see Videl. Mr. Satan basically goes on a press tour, with him explaining where he's been, and coming up with a pretty good story about how he defeated Lord Beerus. There's no story of Lord Beerus here, it's actually Beerus because they saw it, which makes it even more impressive for everyone because they have actual footage. But as Beerus enjoys some food here on Earth, Goku and Vegeta approach him. They want to fight him. They want to show him their power. Beerus wonders what they'll be able to do, but sure, he has some free time. This'll only take a second. But Goku and Vegeta don't hold anything back. They don't use Super Saiyan or Super Saiyan 2, they just jump immediately to their next form. It's a form they call Super Saiyan 3, although it's not Super Saiyan 3. Thanks to all their training and mastery over the Grade 8 form, they unlock something brand new. Now you see, despite how strong everybody is in this scenario, and how much they were training before the Buu Saga, they never really touched upon Super Saiyan 3. So this is the form they call Super Saiyan 3, although clearly it's actually Super Saiyan 4. The two Saiyans look dramatically different, and Beerus is actually a bit curious. They do fight Beerus, and they don't really do much against him because of how strong Beerus truly is, but he could tell that they're actually way stronger than Mr. Satan was, at least when he first fought Mr. Satan. Mr. Satan's far surpassed his strength then, so imagine these two Saiyans with Godly Ki. Alright, he's seen enough. Those forms are quite primitive too, and he wonders if that's going to lead to anything else. But more so, he's curious as to how Godly Ki will affect these Saiyans, especially with how powerful they are at the moment. So, you know what? Yeah, he'll take them. Especially because it might help Mr. Satan grow even further. Not only because he'll have training partners on the planet, but also a better social connection. Having some friends there might help entice him. And of course, Mr. Satan is elated to hear this. He's glad to have somebody along with him that isn't just Beerus and Whis. Also, once they learn what it's like to live with Beerus, they'll see why he hated being there alone. Gohan and Videl watch on this entire time too. They don't really need those flashy new forms. Not that Videl could get any new form anyways, but she wonders if Gohan would be able to unlock that same thing. And honestly, he's not really too sure. He is pretty powerful as is, and especially with him continuing his training, he's still growing. Plus, he wasn't even aware that they got that power. So now with them gone, he'd have to wait for them to come back anyways. Although surprisingly enough, Videl's actually the more proactive one here. Now with how long she's known Gohan by now, obviously she knows he's half alien, and knows about all the journeys he went on. And of course she knows that Gohan has insane potential and just grows pretty quickly in general. And then she remembers something. She remembers Gohan telling her about that thing on Namek. You know, that thing where he had his potential unlocked, or whatever it was. She asked him if he thinks he has more now that he can get unlocked. Well, Gohan's not really too sure how it works because first of all, it was a while ago, and second of all, he doesn't know what the ritual is like. And honestly, he doesn't know how they do it either. Plus, he feels better working for his power anyways. He doesn't have a reason to take a shortcut right now. He wonders what Piccolo would think if he tried to do that too. And despite him being way stronger than Piccolo, he'd rather not face Piccolo's wrath if he's disappointed. He probably shouldn't have said this though, because Videl immediately launches off, going to where Piccolo is, with Gohan chasing after him. See, it's fine if Gohan doesn't want to do this, but she's curious. She kinda wants to do this for herself. After seeing how strong Mr. Satan is, and Goku and Vegeta for that matter, she needs to catch up. She is pretty powerful as is. She's the 5th strongest person on Earth, and now with those 3 gone, she's technically the strongest right behind Gohan. And once they get to Piccolo, she asks if Piccolo could unlock their potential. Wasn't he like the former god of Earth or something? Like the guy that unlocked Gohan and Krillin's potential? And Gohan expects Piccolo to be mad, but he actually isn't. Oh, yeah, he completely forgot about that. Well, he can't unlock potential. She is right about him being the former Kami, but Dende probably would know more about that. Obviously, Videl does know about Dende by now. And you know, Piccolo's actually kind of curious too, so he goes up to look out with them. And Dende pretty much gives him the same answer. He doesn't know how to unlock potential yet, especially with how young he is. But he does have one idea. He could upgrade Shenron, and they could use the Dragon Balls and ask for that. Gohan's not really sure because this seems kind of like cheating, and do they really need the Dragon Balls for that? Like, what if they need it for an emergency instead of this wish? And Videl says it should be fine. After all, if there is an emergency, wouldn't it be better if they were stronger to handle it? Plus, Dende says it's not really cheating. It is their own potential after all. The Dragon Balls are basically just acting as a catalyst to help them. Gohan's still not too sure about this, and Piccolo isn't really either, but he's curious to see where this goes. So Dende upgrades Shenron. Thankfully, it's only going to take a few months for him to recharge too, since they'll just be doing one wish. And before Gohan can say anything else, Videl summons Shenron, asking to unlock their latent potential. And he says that's a pretty easy wish, and inadvertently this drags Piccolo into the wish too. Shenron understands what Videl's intent is here, but consider it a little gift for Piccolo. The 3 of them all power up significantly. Now, they haven't changed much in appearance. Well, Piccolo kinda did because now his skin's kinda yellow. But Gohan and Videl look relatively similar to before, with the only exception is that they have a blinding white aura, and their hair and eyes are a bit more rigid. And Shenron says if that's all, he's gonna disappear, and he winks to Piccolo. Consider it a nice gift to the former Kami. Honestly, Piccolo didn't expect this either, but this is pretty awesome, being this powerful. Gohan and Videl didn't get any extra though. Videl thinks it's awesome because it's exactly what she wanted, and Gohan thinks it's pretty cool too. He hasn't felt this much power in a while. Maybe that was a good idea, especially because, like Videl said, if there is an emergency, this will be really useful. And with that, we leave off here for now. What'd you guys think about this part, and what's gonna happen next time? Leave any thoughts or ideas in the comments below. I'd love to see what you guys think. As usual, be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. It really does help out the channel and shows me you want to see more like this. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.